I was mad, I was red, and I was upset because they wouldn't, help me file the charges.
It's not the only example we found that calls into question Portillo's character and integrity. In his application to become Coffee City's chief, he never listed this, a DWI charge out of Florida in which he failed to appear in court. KHEO 11 Investigates revealed how Portillo routinely hired officers who had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous law enforcement jobs for a wide range of misconduct or even criminal charges.
Welcome back to We the People University. My name is Abaya Israel, former police officer and former sheriff's deputy. Have you ever heard of a police officer, a police chief being fired and the entire department being shut down? That's exactly what we're gonna see. Swift and justifiable action. You definitely wanna watch this video all the way to the end. Some of the things here are gonna blow your mind. While watching, if you enjoyed the content, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Let's check out this video.
I'm investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski. This investigation started with a tip from a KHEO 11 viewer just like you. The tipster said, hey, you have to check out this small town called Coffee City, Texas. It's hiring a ton of cops, and word has it, a lot of them have troubled pasts. So we pulled on that thread, requested a lot of records, and dug in deep. That took a while, and that journalistic journey led us to discover even more problems at this department. And in the end, our investigation got results. Just 2 weeks after our first story aired, the City Council took swift and serious action. It fired the police chief and shut down the entire police force.
New tonight, a tiny Texas town of about 250 people has 50 sworn police officers on the force.
We're talking about Coffee City. That's up in Henderson County, some 3 hours north of Houston. They have one cop for every 5 residents. And what's more, Jeremy Rogowski discovered many of those officers have a history of problems wearing the badge.
On the banks of Lake Palestine, some 3 hours north of Houston, this dot on the map has quite a reputation among those who drive through.
They're everywhere. Literally everywhere.
They run back and forth, back and forth.
A lot of officers policing a very small number of people.
Only 249 people, says the sign on the edge of town. And when you add up all the full-time cops and reserves,
50 officers.
Good Lord, that's crazy.
If it's such a small town, why do we need so many? Makes no sense. Why do you need that many officers?
Coffee City hauled in $1 million in court fines last year for more than 5,000 violations officers wrote, the most in the state for a town its size.
But this isn't a story about a small town writing a bunch of tickets. You see, Coffee City is a magnet for troubled cops.
How do we know? KHEU 11 Investigates obtained personnel records from other police agencies and found more than half of Coffee City officers had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous jobs. A dozen were even criminally charged.
I was astounded to think that they've been hired by another agency.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor and retired Houston police captain.
I've never seen anything like that in my professional career, and I've seen a lot.
Their prior discipline ranges from excessive force to public drunkenness, untruthfulness, and association with known criminals. Criminal charges include DWI, theft, aggravated assault, family violence, and endangering a child.
If you knowingly are hiring an officer that has a very troubled past and history and has no business to be wearing a uniform, and it's a very, very precarious slope that city is engaging in by hiring.
This is the man who hired them. Chief John J. Portillo quadrupled the department's size since he took the job 2 years ago. He says to provide 24/7 coverage for the town.
Why would you hire so many people with all these red flags?
There's more to just what's on paper. And that's where I rely on my captain and my background investigators to go in and dig and say, hey, what's the truth behind this?
The chief says criminal charges were often dismissed, dishonorable discharges overturned. He claims most applicants hired got on the wrong side of agency politics.
If you go back to the totality of a lot of these officers' stuff, I would say 75%, or not more, they're being retaliated against from their agency.
Retaliate?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you take a chance, Chief?
I try to look at the good in everybody, and I believe everybody deserves an opportunity.
You give a lot of opportunities.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
The opportunity to wear a badge allows his officers to work extra jobs, which can mean real money, $50 an hour or more.
I mean, let's not hide it from anybody. They're making probably about $80,000 to $100,000 a year doing that.
The truth of the matter is this: cops are retaliated against, but in most cases, that's only when they're turning in other bad cops, not trying to get over on the system. But you definitely want to keep watching. There's more to come.
Coffee City's police chief routinely works an extra job 200 miles away at this Houston apartment complex. And on this day, watch how John J. Portillo behaves.
I'm about to call Garcia and tell him he's going to be this next election.
It's an expletive-filled rant launched at the elected constable of Harris County Precinct 2, Jerry Garcia.
I'll call Garcia right now. Tell him his train of command is.
Portillo wanted Precinct 2 to file charges on a man he says assaulted him at the complex. It was just one of many requests the constable says kept coming in from off-duty Coffee City cops.
Which at first was, no big deal. We help anybody and everybody. But then we noticed that it was becoming a pattern.
That pattern, the constable says, was draining resources. So Garcia reached out to the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
And we were advised to tell Chief Portillo that he had to file the charges.
But when deputies did just that, Portillo left a nasty voicemail.
And your captains, lieutenants, or whoever those numbnuts are that you have working for you, tell them your guy's not to help us out.
It saddened me. It upset me to hear that. This isn't something small. This is pretty upsetting.
What upset the constable even more, the response his agency got back after alerting Coffee City's mayor. I don't see very much there that warrants any disciplinary action from the city, the mayor wrote. The officers are contracted by the property for off-duty police protection. You may want to reach out to them with any complaints.
Didn't think that it merited any disciplinary action against him? It's crazy.
So what does Chief Portillo have to say for himself?
I was amped up. And I apologized to my city council, at city council.
Did you apologize to Constable Garcia?
No, I haven't had a chance. I haven't talked to him.
The cussing incident happened 6 months ago.
Is that the real John J. Portillo that people are seeing in this video?
No, I don't just go off the handle.
Well, you did here.
Yeah, because I got socked in the face. I was mad. I was red, and I was upset because they wouldn't help me file the charges.
It's not the only example we found that calls into question Portillo's character and integrity. In his application to become Coffee City's chief, he never listed this, a DWI charge out of Florida in which he failed to appear in court.
Why wouldn't you disclose that, Chief?
Didn't disclose it. It was over 10 years ago.
You had an active warrant.
Huh? That was disposed of.
No, it wasn't. Court records show the day after our interview, Portillo hired a Florida defense attorney who filed a not guilty plea in the case.
From the looks of it, you weren't being truthful on the application to which you hold the job this day.
I understand. But that's not what it is. I'm not being truthful.
You forgot?
I put down everything that was in my mind when I filled out my application to the best of my knowledge.
Well, that same job application states there are criminal consequences for lying on a government document.
Just imagine, your city's police chief with the active warrant, but yet he's hiring police officers to go out and enforce the law. Amazing. Let's keep going.
Coffee City, Texas, a dot on the map with barely 250 residents, has a police force of 50 officers. 5 times the number of cops than any other Texas town its size. And that's not the only thing unusual or odd.
Turns out there are a half dozen full-time Coffee City police officers who don't even work in Coffee City, Texas. Instead, they work from home, more than 3 hours and nearly 200 miles away in Houston.
It's hard to believe that is happening.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor.
I've never seen anything like that. There are 100 questions that come to my mind.
Who are these officers? This internal email shows they're part of a warrant division. It reads, there is no need to go to Coffee City because you will be spending 95% of your time on the phone. calling people who have outstanding warrants and collecting failure to appear fines. And because it's a full-time position, there's an added perk.
It gives them the ability to go work an extra job.
Coffee City Chief John J. Portillo concedes they're on the books as full-time because state law only allows full-time cops to work extra security jobs. At this Houston apartment complex, some Coffee City warrant officers do just that and make more than $50 an hour.
They work 2-3 days a week, 4 days a week.
But is it all above board? The Warrant Division is a performance-based division, and officers' pay is based on the failure to appears they collect.
They're basically bounty hunters in a way.
Freeman says that amounts to a commission for collecting fines.
It doesn't make any sense. From an ethical perspective, it just screams questions about the legitimacy of what they're doing.
That's because state law requires full-time peace officers to get paid at least at the federal minimum wage. But again, at the Coffee City Warrant Division,
the court gives them $150 for each warrant that they clear.
So they don't earn a salary apart from that $150?
No, sir. No, sir.
A head?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Is that legal?
I believe so.
2 days after our interview, Coffee City PD changed course, sending out this email to warrant detectives that said, due to unforeseen difficulties, the program has been suspended until such time as I can make sure that we are in compliance with labor laws.
In my book that will be available tonight at midnight on our website, We the People University, so make sure you get it, I actually cover this type of situation. The quotas that are in departments, they're actually illegal, but they happen. And in some cases, your mind will be blown on just how they're carried out.
Chief John J. Portillo is off the job for 30 days. The Coffee City Council voted to suspend him pending an independent investigation into what we found. KHEO 11 Investigates revealed how Portillo routinely hired officers who had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous law enforcement jobs for a wide range of misconduct or even criminal charges.
I'll call Garcia right now. Tell his or his chain of command.
We also reported on a profanity-filled rant the chief launched at a Harris County constable while he was working an extra security job in Houston. And we uncovered how Portillo failed to list on his job application this active DWI case out of Florida in which he failed to appear in court.
From the looks of it, you weren't being truthful on the application to which you hold the job this day. Chief?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, but that's not what it is. I'm not being truthful.
You forgot?
I put down everything that was in my mind when I filled out my application to the best of my knowledge.
Our investigation also revealed how Coffee City warrant officers didn't even work in Coffee City. They stayed home in Houston, spending their time on the phone calling people with outstanding traffic warrants and collecting failure to appear fines. After we questioned Portillo about the program,
is that legal?
The chief suspended the warrant division.
We got hold of Portillo on the phone. The chief declined to comment about the suspension.
My first reaction was just kind of shocked.
Mayor Blackstone says he had no idea more than half of the 50 officers on the Coffee City Police Department had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from previous law enforcement jobs, some even criminally charged. The mayor and all the current city council members took office after John J. Portillo was hired as police chief. So the mayor says they were unaware of what we uncovered on Portillo's job application, that he failed to list an active DWI charge out of Florida. The mayor says while Chief Portillo is on a 30-day paid suspension, Coffee City will investigate the issues internally as well as hiring an independent investigation firm. The scope of that probe will include the department's warrant officers, who we found didn't even work in Coffee City, but rather stayed home in Houston on the phone trying to collect outstanding traffic fines.
The Coffee City Council took less than 15 minutes to reach its decision. It means this tiny town of 250 people that once had 50 officers on the force now has none.
Coffee City Council members took swift and serious action after what KHEO 11 Investigates uncovered.
a police department that routinely hired cops with troubling work histories, hired by a chief, John J. Portillo, who had an unresolved criminal charge and who launched a questionable warrant division with officers who didn't even work in Coffee City.
There was things that we weren't aware of, and that just like really opened our eyes that, you know, there's major changes that have got to be made and made quickly.
Portillo had tried to email his resignation before the meeting, but council members refused to accept it and instead outright fired the chief. And in a bombshell move, it also voted to deactivate the department as a whole.
We just felt it was best to basically terminate the program. That way we were able to go out, find a new chief, let him do all the proper evaluations and determine if he wants to rehire anybody or just start from scratch.
The action was welcome news for many residents who say they've lived with over-aggressive policing for too long.
Ever since we moved here, it was every day cop pulling in for one reason or another.
Something needed to happen.
In the end, this mayor and this city council, they actually did the right thing. Fire this chief, fire every officer, hire a new chief, and hire new police officers. I will admit, I'm a little surprised by the outcome. I did not expect that when I first watched this story, but I'm glad to see it. At least someone's attempting to hold the police accountable. If you guys like the content, make sure you hit the like button, and as always, always know your rights and always record the police. With that being said, We the People University, signing off.